Which country has a higher population? Malawi or Qatar? I honestly have no idea what the population of either of these countries are, but I'm going to presume that the population in an African country is much higher than that of Qatar, which is relatively small. So we're going to go with Malawi. Almost 23 million to just over 3. I think we made the right choice, ladies and gentlemen. So now we have Malawi against Rwanda, meaning that we have to guess whether Rwanda has a bigger or smaller population than Malawi. Again, this is a tough one. I'm presuming that the population figures for African countries are up there, so let's just take a punt, shall we? I'm going to guess it's Rwanda. And just like that, we lose. And as the game says, we got a mighty 1 whole point. And we barely left the airport. So let's try again, shall we? Armenia or Azerbaijan? This is going to be real tough. Both Asian countries. I'm going to guess Azerbaijan. Okay, yeah, there we go. Quite a big difference there. And instantly, I'm fairly sure that the correct answer for the second guess is also Azerbaijan. Because Kosovo is pretty tiny. You know for a fact that your country's small when the outline of your country is on the flag. Yeah, you guys are pretty small. And just like that, there we go. So, Kosovo or France? I'm fairly sure that the population of France is significantly more than 1.8 million, so easy choice here. 66. Croatia or France? Again, simple answer, it must be France. I knew that Croatia would not have as much of a population, but I didn't realise quite how little their population was. It's not even 5 million people. And it's a fairly big country. I mean, look at this coastline. So many of those people on that coastline. Poor Bosnia. So we have Croatia and Anguilla. So out of the two, I'm fairly sure I know the answer. And it certainly ain't the second choice. At just 33,000. I think we're going to have to start racking through these because South Sudan, I'm fairly sure that's the answer again. 11.5 million. We've got South Sudan versus my favourite of all, Vanuatu. Which again, I'm fairly sure I know the answer. Click. I wonder how far I can make this generational run go for. Here we go. It's Mali. 26 mil. Come on, give me something hard. Okay, not that hard. This is an interesting one because Guyana in South America and Mali in Africa presumably both have a fairly big population. I know obviously Mali's got over 26 mil. It's just whether Guyana even matches close to that. I mean, I'm presuming that they're probably similar size in country and scale. So population-wise, probably around the same. Alright, I'm sticking with Mali. Ooh, this is quite an interesting one. Now, Guyana had a lot less of a population than I thought they would. Certainly a lot less than Mali. But, what's the population of Bermuda? Now, I've looked at Bermuda on a map, and that place looks small. Proper small. And I'm fairly sure that they don't have upwards of 800,000 people there. So, I think it's a fairly safe bet. Maybe. Well, if I'm going to make it 10 in a row, I best pick one. 73,000. Not even 100,000 people in Bermuda. But then we make it even more difficult by throwing Guam into the equation. I mean, this would be easy enough if you were going to give me something like China in comparison, because the answer would be clear. But on a higher or lower scenario, does Guam have more than 73,000 inhabitants? Something makes me think yes. I haven't looked at a map, I don't know how big Guam is in comparison, but hey. Oh, okay, 185,000. We currently have a score of 11 points, so I think we're doing pretty well for ourselves. Okay, so now we've got Guam and their 185,000, or the country of Comoros. Comoros? I don't know. My first immediate thought is that Guam is a lot smaller, but I don't actually know whether that's true. I'm just presuming. I mean, it's in Africa, so presumably the population must be pretty up there. And there we are. Ooh, okay. The Seychelles, with arguably the best flag of all, against Comoros. I'm fairly sure that Seychelles is a fairly small country, and I don't think that they're going to have upwards of almost 900,000 people living there. The island must get pretty crowded otherwise. Okay, that's good to know. And again, this one should be pretty easy. I'm fairly sure that the country of Denmark has more than 166,000 people in it. Boom. There we are, over 6 mil. Now, another interesting one. Portugal ain't that big of a country, and to be honest, Denmark isn't either. So this is a bit of a 50-50 for me. I have no knowledge of what Portugal's population is, but I suspect it's more than Denmark. Don't ask me for what knowledge that might be, but I'm just guessing. So we're going to guess Portugal. Okay. 10.5 million, that's a big difference. But then we have Portugal against another Scandinavian country. We've got Finland here. We are currently at a score of 15, so let's just keep this train going as long as we can. I think it's Finland. No. 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 How is Finland's population only that? Crazy. But there we are, we got a score of 15, which is apparently in the top 10% of scores. But surely we can beat that, right? This time, we're doing a speed round. South Africa. Boom, 66 mil against 4. Next, we got the US. I'm fairly sure their population is like 300 million, so there. 343 million. Even though Italy's a big country, the US still beats it out. Then we got Pakistan. I don't actually know here. I was originally going to say Italy, but we have a country like Pakistan that is on the border with India. And India is one of the most populous countries in the world, so I'm going to guess it's Pakistan. 247 million! That's a lot of people. And I'm fairly sure it's more than Timor-Leste. There we are. Speed round. Cuba. Cuba. 11 million. Am I going Libya? Oh, it wasn't. Oh no. Again. Okay, another speed round. Let's go. We're going Cameroon. Cameroon, South Sudan. I think it's Cameroon again. Excellent. Give me some more African countries. We got South Sudan v Palau, and I think it's South Sudan. Because Palau's not even got 100,000. Then we've got Palau and French Polynesia, and I think it's French Polynesia. I'm not going to lie, these are complete guesses. Apart from something like this, where I think it's fairly obvious it's the Democratic Republic of the Congo at 105 million people. And I know that Azerbaijan came up earlier, but I don't remember the number. I seem to remember it was like 27 mil? Maybe? I still think it's the DRC. 10 mil. Well, good job I didn't try and guess that then. But then we get thrown with another rogue factor, Tajikistan. I don't even know where this country is. I don't know how big it is, so I'm just going to guess with what I know. Oh, that was like 100,000 points in it. But unfortunately, with an incredibly average score of 6, we have to go one more time. Okay, so we've got Macau and Aruba. They're both very small places, but I do suspect that Macau is probably up there, being quite a densely populated city, basically with China. So I'm going to guess Macau. Nice, nice. Macau and American Samoa. So we're sticking with Macau. Nice. This is where my big brain geography knowledge comes in. We've got Ivory Coast and we got American Samoa, but it's an African country, so it has to be that. Excellent. 31 mil. We'll take it. Okay. So I know Singapore is fairly populous, but I know that it's probably not that big. So I'm again going with the Ivory Coast. Almost 6 million though. That's still up there. I should probably be really making an effort of trying to learn what these populations are, so the next time I do it, I just know. But unfortunately, we get pitched with things like Suriname, which I think might be more. Nope. Of course not. Let's just ignore that big old 4. And just remember that I got a 15 at some point. See, look at that up there. High score 15. So yeah, that was the country population higher or lower game. I don't think I did very well, but maybe at one point I'll come back and see if I can do any better when I kind of know more about the countries that I'm pitching against each other. Population-wise, of course. So yes, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.